but to a coordinated campaign where it can look like different actors are generating similar images. So it creates an even better kind of indicators of truth. Now, the solution isn't to ban the technology, right? There are plenty of good reasons and good uses that the tech can be put to, but it tells you why governance is so important. And that's governance at the developer level, the companies creating these tools, at the deployer level, the social media platforms and others that are allowing this information out into the ecosystem, and for governments as well to step up and act. How are they boosting trusted sources of information? How are they showing up in this confusing moment to help people pierce through and get the information that they need? So there are more things we can talk about, but I think about those three buckets because it kind of crystallizes it. And what's interesting to me, David and I know each other, we've worked together for a long time. There's a really important conversation happening around long-term safety risks, around alignment. And that needs to happen. But the harms that I described right now, every single one of them is happening today. These aren't future. We don't need big safety research institutes to address these harms. We need companies and governments to act now. So as you talk about AI, this is why I say you need to push people on what are the harms they're thinking about and what version of AI are they talking about. There's some low-hanging fruit we could be going after right now to try and address some of these concerns.
I'm really glad you brought it up that way because I have very little interest in talking about AGI on this panel. I'm very interested in talking about artificial intelligence right now and like in the next year because we see the impact. And I see that you have vaccines and you test them even in a pandemic before people can actually use them. You have genetically modified foods and you're going to test them before you roll them out. Algorithms, when we talk about social media, we're rolled out and we're experimenting real time on populations. Now we're looking at, with the executive order, we're looking at, and with the voluntary commitments we saw before that in the White House, we're looking at, well, we need to do something to make sure that we're testing these models. But there are lots of ways to test the models, right? You can test them in terms of, can they be abused and misused beyond their original intention by bad users or even by other AI bots?
Genome Project, this will enable a whole new revolution in proteomics and protein-targeted therapeutics, which again would not be possible without many enabling technologies such as long-read sequencing, again PCR sequencing and otherwise, which when combined together, and computational biology, structural biology, etc. And by combining these things together, again, we were able to create a tool and an atlas which we would not have been able to do before. The last example I have up here is CRISPR, which is a gene editing technology, a far more advanced version of being able to edit a genome of a living organism compared to what Amgen and Genentech pioneered in the 1980s. Similar to the other two, it's an enabling technology that will enable fundamentally life-changing treatments for humans, but separately also acts in a slightly different way in that it's a pair of molecular scissors compared to the Human Genome Project and AlphaFold, which could be much more viewed as schematics and an atlas. This has really all been enabled by interdisciplinary convergence of multiple areas of both life sciences, biotechnology, IT, etc., as well as a number of trends such as the falling cost of sequencing, cheap GPUs with incredible power, advanced artificial intelligence algorithms, and otherwise. And in the future, we expect that these things will continue to converge and continue to build fundamentally changing technologies and products across all sorts of different areas, not just life sciences and healthcare and therapeutics. So to recap, as I talked about before, we understood biology as trial and error for the longest time. There was the birth of biotechnology about 40 years ago, whereby we could edit and change cells to create products. And now in 2023, we expect to enter a golden era of biotechnology, where biology is used as a technology, when new industries are created, disrupted, and reinvented. And some of the issues that we'll try and solve with this revolution in biotechnology, we can see above. We're going to hit a global population of almost 10 billion by 2050. There's going to be almost a 50% increase in global cancer deaths by 2030. Almost 20% of adolescents in the US are obese and are going to suffer from diseases like diabetes, cardiovascular disease, fatty liver disease, cancer, etc. And still to this day, 31% of all premature deaths worldwide come from cardiovascular disease. And this includes war, famine, pestilence, and everything else in between. There are still huge problems that need to be solved, and biotechnology and biology as a technology will do these things. This is a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity for reinvention and economic gain.
Is acquiring agency.
Many developing countries want broader representation of their interests.
What do we do to make sure that the technology that we are developing will spread to the 30% that is disconnected already globally, outside of the digital landscape?
We need to change because of climate. We need to change because of digitalization. But we need that transition from here to there to be fair for everybody.
The institutions of the 20th century will need to be retrofitted to be made more agile and more responsive to manage the technological age.
The entire system is to enable increased connectivity. That's where the world is going.
We need to innovate faster, and to do that, we need to move to a different paradigm. It's about trial and error, it's about experimenting. Interdisciplinarity is vital to tackle today's big challenges. We cannot work in isolation.
We have to make the right choices, whether it comes to finance, whether it comes to innovation and technology, whether it comes to governance.
The nature of the task at hand is immense. We need all hands on deck.
Charles Fort was an American writer and researcher who specialized in anomalous phenomena. In the early 1900s, he made a very interesting statement. He said, "I think we're property. I should say we belong to something, that something owns this earth, all others warned off, and that all of this has been known, perhaps for ages, to certain ones upon this earth, a cult or order, members of which function like bellwethers to the rest of us, or as superior slaves or overseers, directing us in accordance with instructions received from somewhere else in our mysterious usefulness." Is there anything to this? Let me tell you a story.